Welcome back, everyone, to NRL Fantasy Analysis. We're going to be going through the second last round's team list, round 24. Here we are, Knights and the Titans. So, obviously, the majority of people don't have trades left, so we'll just go basically the guys that you should bring in. We'll talk through that on each one, and any obvious news that you would need to know. But the Knights, obviously, Ponga is someone I still think has a really good opportunity to score well in these last two games. There's got to be one really big one in here. If you can get an 80 or 90 and a 40 or 50 across the two, then you're looking at like a 60 to 70 average. So just think of that. He has the opportunity to do that, and at a really cheap price. If you have that opportunity to trade him in, I think he's the really good one at that price point to bring in, especially if you need to cover Adam Dewey, who looks like he has some form of partial ACL tear. Hopefully that's all it is, and he doesn't have to get surgery, because he did have surgery on that same knee 3 years ago in 2018. So that would not be ideal, but Ponga would be a great replacement for that. Watson is in the 13 jersey. Looks like he'll play that role again, which would be great for his point scoring. Hopefully, if you're still owning him, you can play him and score well. Tyrone Peachey moves into the 6 role. A few people ask me, should I be picking him up? I don't think you should. I just feel like there's much better opportunities out there. Yes, Peachey should be able to play the 80 and score fairly well against the Knights, but is it a 1 week thing? Is it a 2 week thing? And again, do many people have trades? Fogg should get a very high percentage of the kicks, which means he should score pretty well against the Knights. I'd imagine that be the case. We see David Fafita move to the bench as well, but he's someone you have to continue playing no matter what. He scored 100 odd off the bench when I captained him not too long ago. So there's every chance he can come on and do that against the Knights. So that's that first game. Warriors and the Raiders. In this one here, not too much to talk about. Townsend plays again. Curran has been named. He'll have to go through the concussion protocols. Ewan Aiken's been great. He's awesome to pick up if you need to assess centre, because Averillo hasn't been named again, unfortunately. In terms of anyone else on this side, Walsh can continue playing, especially against the Raiders, who have been okay. I think he'll still be able to score fairly well against them. Probably not as good as last game with that 66, but in terms of his ability to score, I think he's going to be completely fine. On the Raiders side, guys like Smith Shields has been really cool. Rapana's doing okay. You got Hudson Young scoring really well, so if you need to pick up someone in that bracket, I think he's going to be completely fine for you. We see Horsburgh come back, and Chance is still on the bench, so be prepared that he could possibly move into the one role, but I see them continuing to play him off the bench. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want to do that. Anywho, moving along, we go to the Roosters and the Bunnies. So Teddy is our gun. I wouldn't be captaining him this week. I think he can still score really well. He's in a really rich vein of form, but I wouldn't expect him to hit that sort of 75 plus. Similar to Latrell. If I'm being honest though, these are the type of games that he gets up for. So would be hit or miss. You can get that 30 odd like he did last week, or he can get a 60 to 80. We mentioned that. I mentioned that he'd probably have 2 out of the last 4 games would be big. So maybe it's this one, maybe it's the last game. Who knows? But it should be a really good game to watch this one. I expect a really close game. A lot of the younger guys have really stepped up. Hutchison, Walker's been named in the 7 role again, so we don't see Lockie Lamb, who is out for this game. But Ben Marshkey's on the bench, I suppose. Possibly to cover Verrills, but there's every chance that if there's an injury again, that Verrills will be able to play the 80, and you can use him as a solid scorer for sure. So that's the Roosters side. We have Crichton is out for one more game. Nat Butcher is also out, so Egan's going to play that role again. He should be able to score really well. On the Bunny side, we have Cam Murray. Damien Cook's been named, so a lot of people were thinking he was going to be out, but it looks like he'll be okay. But just keep up with the news and possibly have a number 5 ready on your emergencies. If you have an 18th man, that have them ready to be able to swap easily, and make sure you have cover in the hooking role, whether that's a Connor Watson or something like that. That would be ideal. So maybe Watson you have on the bench, so you can straight swap into that 9 jersey if there's an issue. But I haven't heard anything since on that Cook thing, with a few people saying that there's a chance he wasn't going to be playing this week. So that's that. But Dragons and the Cowboys, we move on, and Tyrell Sloan comes in. He hasn't been scoring very well, but someone I'm really interested in at a really cheap price is Talatau Amone, who has been scoring awesome, and didn't really do a lot on the weekend to score really well. And I'm seeing a big score from him on the weekend. I'm hoping for also a big one from Bird or Lomax if you are interested in that center combination for any of those guys. But I really think Amone is a really cool one to pick up in your side this week if you have that one trade left, and I suppose if you're playing with 16 or you're playing with 17 and you don't like one of your scorers, I think Amone can do really well for your squad. DeBellum moves back into 13 role. Sims back into the 12 position, so he usually scores a little bit better in the middle. And DeBellin usually plays a little bit better in 13 than he does in 8. Not that that really changes too much. In terms of the Cowboys, we see Hamiso move back to 1 with Holmes out in this game. Taumalolo moves to the 8 role, so Condon and Lukey stay in that 11 and 12, and Cotter's in the 13. So whatever that's going to mean for his scoring, it's just good to see him back, and then we can hopefully have 17 players on the park after last week's debacle. And we see Freddie Lussick move to the on loan, I believe, or if he signed a small contract to the Dragons, but I believe it's on loan, and should be able to cover and help in that position with McCulloch out. So Sharks and Broncos, we see a very similar team for the Sharks. We see Ronaldo out, which Hiroti comes back in. Metcalf still in the 6 role. I think he'll be able to play a really good game again against a lighter Broncos side. So they've had a pretty decent run the last few weeks as well, the Sharks, even though they haven't been playing terrific themselves. On the Broncos side, we see Payne Haas as a great captaincy option again. Jordan Ricky's going to be a little bit up and down, and Milford's there. Hopefully he can score, play well again just for his mental health. It was great to see him back doing really well. I don't mind Moylan on the bench either for the Sharks. I think he did a great job coming on, and I think just a little bit of spark, good ball playing ability as he always has had. I think was great for them, but that'll be a nice close game as well. Yeah, like the Sharks have had the last bunch of weeks. Storm and the Eels, so this could be interesting. Obviously, the Eels coming off a win against the Cowboys probably is going to help their confidence a little bit, but not too much, just with how Cowboys have been playing. But Storm are literally full strength. You got everyone but Nelson playing in this one. Grant moves back to the 14 role, which is a little bit annoying personally as I brought him in. I still think he's obviously going to get the mid 50s to 60 minutes, but yeah, that him in the 80 role is a 65 plus, waiting to be had. So now looking back into the 50s, but Nico Hines is also in the 17 role. So it'll be interesting to see how they use a lot of their players. Maybe Hughes gets 60 odd minutes and gets a bit of a rest because they've got a bunch of guys to play in that position. Maybe Pap doesn't play the full 80 this week. Maybe Munster gets a breather. Very interesting to work out what's going to happen with this one, because they do have 2 guys in Grant and also Hines who can play any of those positions there. What I will expect then is some bigger minutes for some of the middle forwards. Obviously, Chris Lewis, will be interesting to see if he can play some big minutes in 13. You got Bromwich and Kafusi can play to 80. Welsh will do his normal 50, but you'd imagine Smithy would play a good 60 odd in this one, and he would move straight into that middle role because they don't have as much cattle on the interchange to be able to cover that position. So yeah, Smithy, I'd still expect a really good score from him. If you are worried about him coming back, and if you still hold on to him, like I would have suggested. I think, big minutes for him. On the Eels side of things, Moses coming off a decent game. It will be interesting to see if he can keep that form going to this one. I'm not expecting 3 try assists and him dominating the kicking game with the 4 dropouts as well. So that'll be interesting. Joey Lussick, I'm expecting a lot of tackles. I'd like a bigger game from Papali'i, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to with those limited minutes that he's been getting. In terms of the rest of the team, that's probably all we need to speak about. So let's move on to the last couple of games of the round. In the Seagulls and the Dogs, we see Trbojevic come back. It looks like he should be fine to play this game. What do you reckon? They don't even need to play him this game, which is if he'd be absolutely chomping at the bit to get around the Dogs. And he's going to be a big captaincy option this week, especially if you're looking to make up some ranks. He's the one that can get you the big 100 in this one against the Dogs. I can see an absolute shellacking. An interesting one in our team with Dewey, who's going to be out. The good question is, do you pick up Garrick this week? Is he a big opportunity to have a big score? Munster's a really safe and obvious option. With Hughes back, maybe he's not going to score as well. Obviously, with him out, he's going to do a lot more of the kicking in general play and obviously control the game. But Munster's been in a really rich vein of form also. But I really see Garrick as a great option, which is interesting to say. But is that 1 or 2 week option? Him to score big points against the Dogs. If they can put on 50 against them, you'd imagine at least a couple of tries, 10 goals, and just big meters and a lot of a few line breaks down his left side. So Trbojevic, Garrick, really good options. DCE also a cracking option for captain this week as well. If you're looking to make up some points, you'd imagine Schuss will be able to do okay as well. With really the end in sight for the Dogs. And hopefully them moving into a better season next year when they get a few players that are coming over. Avrilo's in the 21 jersey. If you need him, there's a chance that he comes in and plays. So that's that with the Seagulls and the Dogs. And the last one, they're the Panthers and the Tigers. So we don't see too much different here with Edwards still being named after his big concussions. He'll have to pass through the protocols as well. Cleary, the best captaincy option, obviously, especially against the Tigers here. Tommy Trbojevic is a great one as well, but Cleary, obviously, with his average, you can't really go wrong there at all. In terms of the rest of the team, not too much to talk about. Pango Jr. is on the bench, so is Liam Martin. It's obviously pretty stacked this week, and we see, Brian To'o coming back. Bizza, welcome back to him. On the other side of the ball, we see Dewey, who's out. It looks like it's probably going to be for the year with a partial tear at minimum to the ACL. And Jock Baden comes in, but I wouldn't be thinking about him, especially against the Panthers. Sean Blaw's going to be there. He did play limited minutes on the weekend, so look out for that. And if you have a guy that you think could average 45 plus, I'd be picking them to play over Sean Blaw this week. But if you have to play him, it's also not going to be an issue either. Twal and Leilua, I'm expecting sort of 45 to 55 points from those two, and similar to Stefano, who's had a really, really good month or so. But that's all with the team list, guys. I hope that helps, and just a couple of guys you should probably select if you've got any trades. But really, it's just trying to make sure you can get 17 on the park the best way possible. If that is trading out a cheaper guy that's not playing anymore for that Amone from the Dragons, that could be ideal. But if not, just some straight swaps, which we'll go through in another video. But hope to help you out, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one. We're going to go through a couple of the decent options, and then also our trades for the week our last trade for the People Squad if we decide to make it, if we decide to trade out Dewey and who we pick up from that one. But as we always say, guys, hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you in the next one. See you too.